Hello, my beloved friend. Welcome to this episode of empowerment, women's empowerment. We're going to dive into that, where that's going for us, where that looks for our future, and how we might want to cultivate that, and how we're going to cultivate that so that our lives are more fulfilling and in alignment to divine creation. Now, just welcome here for a minute, little Frederick, our new microphone. Some of you will very much appreciate this, that I have got a little assistant now to make our conversations clearer, so you can hear me a little bit more. So please let me know if that is effective for you, because I know a few of you have reached out and like to hear my voice. I have a very soft-spoken voice anyway, so I do realize that this is very effective. And since I'm now recording mostly off my phone, I do need something that connects to that. So first time, hope you're here with me, ready for this, and able to let me know in the comments. So, empowerment, what does that mean to you? How does that feel when you hear that word? Does it feel like it's bringing you into thoughts, into feelings that are of fear, of worry, of dominance? Or is it something that makes you feel fierce, like a lion, powerful and energized, like a priestess? Where is that power coming from for you? Do you feel that you want more of it? Does it feel like you don't know where that's coming from or how to get it? Maybe you have a negative idea around cultivating power and feeling the empowerment. Because I'm really feeling my calling, my destiny is to not only shine bright in this world as my true authentic self, but also help others to do the same. And I have felt through my own experience, when I have truly been able to tap in to life force, to cultivate life force from within, and working with my feminine body, my anatomy as a woman, the reproductive system, the womb space, right? I have been able to become even more centered in my power. And the reason why this is more important for women when it comes to the body, okay, and obviously this I'm sure will come in through for men as well, but I'm just speaking through my own experience, is just that because of what we see out there in social media, in the years and years and centuries of this dominance over the woman's body, this disempowering truths about women's bodies, these false lies, to be honest, that are suggesting, that women need to look a certain way and be a certain way to receive empowerment, and thinking that empowerment comes from, being liked and adored by everyone, or their men, or, being of service to the man, or things like this. Has been some of the age-old history, right? And we're coming into a new wave of where we're looking at where women's empowerment comes in, and especially for women now are striving into work environments and finding their power in going after their dreams and doing things that they want and being more independent, right? And that's seen as empowerment as well. But yet there's still this looming distress really along the population, and that is the dissatisfaction with the body and disconnection with the body. And no matter what scenario, there always seems to be this very much a dismissive approach to the cycles and the seasons of women, right? We see this where, during menopause, women can't retire during that time now, because retirement, I mean, in the UK particularly, has been pushed to 67. That's not really appropriate for a woman. Like, she needs to go into her underworld and to move through that transition and be with the initiation of what's happening. Can you really imagine doing all the things and the workload and everything that you did in your 20s that you would then be doing in your 50s and 60s? Even before then, there is transitional processes that are at play. Same with pregnancy, right? I see women who are so pregnant still in massage spas, massaging people. I've seen women who are in the police force, who are in supermarkets, who are in office spaces, in hairdressers, and they're all around all of these chemicals. They're still working at that fast pace, client after client, especially in these service industries like I just mentioned, and you just think the body needs to be in a different pace, to allow everything else to come through. And okay, maybe the woman needs to make that choice for herself as well. Maybe she likes that. But I feel that the process that's happening in the body is not being necessarily honored, right? And this, I feel, is taking away that empowerment. Again, is another gap here that we're forgetting of the mechanics of the woman's body and what needs to really be nurtured in those times and those spaces. And the same with every single month during the bleed, to be working to the same rhythm that maybe you're working in ovulation or whatever, even in the luteal, it's still just an intensity for most jobs that then women are numbing out by taking paracetamols and things like this to numb themselves out so they can get through their day, right? And there is a whole other thing there with the terms of having challenges within our menstruation, because again, the body is also trying to speak and tell us something. There is dysregulation happening anyway. There's hormonal disruption happening, which is maybe creating this body to call a little bit louder than maybe it would if it had the rest, if it had the time to nurture, if we had the time to listen, to follow through what we are hearing. And there is a very visceral clue that is happening through the body, but it also is a correlation with the soul. It's also a correlation with how much we listen to our intuition, to the higher self, the divine self, and then we ignore those parts because of those conditionings. And then because we're doing it within these seasons and cycles, it's just showing the pattern of really what's happening every day for everyone in the masses, right? Because we cannot ignore it through those cycles and seasons. It's so loud. That's the thing with women, that we can't ignore these things. Is a male body doesn't necessarily always have those noticeable cycles and seasons that then say, hey, look, this is happening and you are trying to do something else and this isn't working. For some people it will get to having a health condition, but for women, I'm saying that this is like every season you're being shown. Every season, your body cycle, your body is reminding you of what is in alignment, what isn't in alignment. And this empowerment is coming forth when we start to listen, when we start to work towards creating a life that correlates with divine creation, with cycles and seasons, with the organic flow of nature and creation, which allows us to channel more of our essence and our spirit. Because when we are not in that flow, we are not in complete alignment. And that is the purpose of the structures of these old systems. And it's not to beat yourself up if you feel trapped in that. We all have different things in our lives that draw us into that. because it's so ingrained into our society. But what we can do is those little steps, see where we can follow and listen, and that can grow over time and allow that empowerment to take forth. Now, the empowerment, the power, the energy, it's just life force. It's life force energy. You're not taking it from anywhere. You're only cultivating that which is already within you. And it amplifies and it grows out of itself, through you, as you. And that is the purpose really of human evolution, is to cultivate and bring through so much of our soul essence, so much of our brightness, our light, that we actually also become of service in that way, through shining, through expressing, through being in that essence. Because that is what then starts to create, as we're operating from that system, not another system that is trying to keep and take and siphon all of our energy, right? All those other things are just there to take, because they're in a take cultivation. They're not seeing that they can cultivate that from within. Or maybe they are, who knows? Maybe they're even cultivating within and taking, because they want to make sure that we're not cultivating, because otherwise everyone would be very powerful and that game would be over. If you know what game I'm talking about, right? So this is really a message that I want to share of reminding you to cultivate, to be in constant cultivation of your life force and your energy. That is how we find empowerment. It's not just going to come out of nowhere. It's not going to be gifted to us from outside of ourselves. You know, so many people are offering all these different guides and offers and things to do for you to, you know, give them your power away, even in the spiritual community. You know, we're always outsourcing to find the answer through others rather than finding it through ourselves. You know, I purposely will not do channelings and sessions where I am just giving energy to others. I am here now, and I know that this is so important, more than ever before, that everyone is finding that from within themselves. It could be easy to go to an oracle. It can be easy to go to a psychic. It can be easy, you know, to go and do some course and do this and do that and get given the information. But we're not here to get the information anymore from someone else. We're here to get it from within ourselves. So cultivate is about learning how to cultivate that for yourself. And all the answers will come within. You know, we can support each other on that. We can support the guidance. We can support each other in lifting each other up. We can hold a field of that energy with each other so we can work with it and amplify it. But continually going everywhere else for that is actually just giving out your power. Okay? It may give you a sense that you have found some power, but you will still feel, in essence, like, but where's my power? Where's my power? And it's because it's already there within you, just waiting for you to acknowledge it. Be aware of it. So we have to also look at the systems that we are playing and operating in. Observe for yourself. What ones am I operating in? What ones do I need to kind of still be in a little bit? And how can I navigate them so that they support me and that I am also still working towards getting out of those systems? And how can I create some for myself so that all that other stuff can fall away? Yeah. So we're going to cultivate that, our own inner system. And that might look like starting to do conversations with your womb and start journaling and channeling messages for yourself in your journal. Setting time to meditate every day, or however many times a day you can handle. You can always grow and allow it to evolve. Seeking some methodologies that maybe if you haven't got any, to find and look and find and explore until you find things that work for you. It's okay to do that for a little while if that's where you're at. I love dancing. I find putting on some music and creating a space for myself to move and just be with myself in that flow is what gets me in that most aligned space. So I make sure I do that regularly. Tracking your cycles, yes, these things are good, but can you really trace that in your body and start to feel and notice the shifts and sensations of when your body is moving into different cycles and seasons? What does that feel like? Each time you will start to understand and sense that through the body itself, and you will just know. You don't even need to look at the calendar. When you're feeling and sensing a certain way, to know and be able to pick out a tea with some herbs that nourish your body, and just knowing and sensing that for yourself, having that internal wisdom within that guides you, the one that guides you inside to go outside, to go and walk and find this particular tree to sit with, because that medicine is what your body is calling in for you today, and it's telling you, and that tree and your soul were meant to connect. All these little wisdom ways are the ways that come through you, and they'll be very unique to you. And I honestly really look forward to hearing about your ways. So drop them in the comment. Let's hear, what are your ways of walking in your soul remembrance and being in your essence and your brightest light? I want to hear about them so we can connect on this. And I do have one ritual that you can practice with me, and I will put the link for that down below.